Welcome back to another edition of What's Hockey. I almost forgot the name of the podcast there.
Nice,
Um,
dude.
it's a playoff edition, so it's going to be chock full of events and things to talk about. We're going to start off
Chock-full.
discussing. Yeah, I know. I'm struggling right now. We're going to start off discussing the road to the playoffs and a team that almost made it. A big fan over across from me right now, Keaton Myers, is going to tell us about the Red Wings, but then we will jump into awards, a coach firing, and also the playoff breakdown, our playoff preview. We'll fill out a bracket together and we'll give you our thoughts on what we think is going to happen. But like I said, we'll go ahead and toss it over to Keaton. Tell us about the disappointment of the Red Wings missing out on the postseason.
Yeah, so we missed out of the postseason. It's pretty upsetting. Basically, Philadelphia is to blame. Outside of course, our I don't know, eighth streak loss. Maybe it was nine. I can't remember, but we were just losing a lot, and that was just completely unacceptable. And it's basically why we missed the playoffs. But outside of that, yeah, Philly pulled their goalie at the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes or something like that because they didn't realize that they were already eliminated regardless. And yeah, they got an empty netter and lost because they suck, and then they couldn't tie it. And the Red Wings played a hell of a fucking game, not gonna lie. So they tied it with, what was it, 3 seconds left on the game,
Yeah.
and forced it into shootouts. And Kane shot the OT winner. But yeah,
If I'm not
pretty
wrong,
upsetting.
the game before against Montreal as well, y'all scored that game tying goal with like 5 seconds left as well, right? Like 3 seconds. It was down to the
Could
buzzer
have
at the end,
been. There
right?
were back to back some great games played by the Red Wings. Both of them were forced into overtime. Raymond scored the last one, and Kane scored this most recent one
I mean,
as
on
far as
y'all's
winning it.
end, y'all were extremely clutch in those last two games. Y'all, of course, were fighting for your season, and
Yeah,
sometimes those efforts fall flat. But y'all kind of did it. Now, I know we could talk about the two games against the Capitals a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, but what you could
we lost
do.
2 games to the Coyotes. I mean, there's just a bunch of games we should have won but didn't. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and we could and
could
you
go
could say
on.
that for almost any team that just missed out on the playoffs, like the Penguins as well, the Flyers. But what y'all could do in your last two games is just win, and y'all forced overtime in both in clutch fashion. And unfortunately, y'all don't make it because, and in real time, y'all score your goal before the Flyers pulled their goalie. Now, does that mean the Flyers kind of like don't try, I guess, and don't pull their goalie? I don't know. Maybe they still have that mindset. But y'all eliminated the Flyers before the Flyers decided to eliminate y'all in return. Maybe it was a retaliation. But that is painful that you don't make the playoffs on an empty net goal because the Flyers are
Yeah.
idiots.
Well, it's not even in our hands at that point, but we lost too many must-win games. So
Yeah.
we should have beat the Penguins, but we didn't. We should have beat the Capitals, but we didn't. We should have beat the Coyotes, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've got a solid team in a sense. We just need to make sure that everyone's either healthy or just in sync. I mean, we've got Trey Augustine, who's a prime prospect that could fill in and make Alex Lyon's job a little bit easier, of course. Um, if we even keep him, I don't know. But yeah, just pretty upsetting. Overall, it's our fault, but it does kind of suck that the Flyers made it even more impossible. Which it doesn't make any sense because if they wanted to eliminate somebody, they could have eliminated the Capitals. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's super unfortunate. Now the kind of bright side in having some holes in your team is that you know exactly what to address. as long as y'all put a good offseason game plan together, y'all can definitely come back a lot stronger. Hey, we'll see. We'll definitely see on that end. Now going from that to some end of season. Oh, before we get to some end of season awards, we'd be remiss not to talk about a coach firing. Buffalo fires their coach.
Trash.
Yeah, they have like the longest streak in the league of not making the playoffs. This dude's been there a while.
Yeah, they're pretty garbage.
Even before he got there, they weren't making the playoffs. Don Granato is out for Buffalo. They need to retool. They need everything right now.
It's probably the team. Let's be honest, but
Well, I mean, he was there.
The coach got fired, so he's trash. So
he was there for a few years. I mean, it's his team. So I don't know. There hasn't been a replacement, as in most cases.
Maybe the GM and him didn't get along.
Sure. I mean, it could definitely be that, but either way, he's gone. So that is our most recent fire. We've talked about every firing here now because most of them are during the regular season. We had a replacement to talk about. There is no replacement right now. So they'll compile some. Yep. They'll compile some candidates and we'll see what they do. Before we get into the playoff talk, which I know everyone's looking forward to, we'll go ahead and touch on some end of season awards. Keaton, what you got on that?
So the Art Ross is I believe, most points scored, and that goes to Nikita Kucherov. Close second was Nathan MacKinnon. Pretty cool, Already clinched it. I'm not sure if they handed out the award already and whatnot, but at the very least they've clinched it. And Austin Matthews hit the 69 goals. Couldn't make it 70 against the last team they played. The last couple teams, I don't remember. But he scored the 69th against the Red Wings on, I don't know, whenever that was, a few games ago. But
y'all played him last Saturday, about 6 days ago. I think they had two. Yeah. He had 2 games at least to make that up, and he was unable to. That 70 goal mark, it's an extremely high bar to get, but I mean, being one short,
it's almost fine. Averaging a goal a game, almost. Minus 12.
Impressive season there. There's also 2 awards that kind of have to be voted on, and that's the Vezina for goalies, and is it the Hart Award? That's the name of the MVP one. I kind of forget the Hart Trophy.
Hart Award.
Same thing. And the odds on the Hart Trophy, it's very likely it's going to Nathan MacKinnon. Now Nikita Kucherov is close behind him. He'll probably get a few votes for it, but my guess.
Same with Connor McDavid, but
Yeah, and I mean, my guess and your guess is it probably goes to Nathan MacKinnon. And then the Vezina also voted on, kind of subjective. The 2 main candidates are Connor Hellebuck from the Jets, and then also Bob Borowski from Florida, and that seems to kind of be a given that it's going to Hellebuck. Bob Borowski, you and I were looking at some numbers before we started the podcast, and Bob Borowski and his backup goalie are top 3 in the least goals allowed right now. I think that kind of takes away from Bob Borowski a little bit, being that the backup is up there, because that means your defense is insane. Your offense is controlling possession. So
100%.
So I think it's going to Hellebuck. And then did you have anything on the Coach of the Year award? Forget the name.
I forgot what it's called, but 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Jack Adams. There you go. The Jack Adams most likely is going to go to Rick Tocchet, the Canucks coach. Not sure if there's any odds on anyone else, but that's kind of like the main favorite. They did a pretty good season, so props to them and him. So
to him and him.
Them and him.
Yeah. 1 second. I'm gonna pull some odds up for us just to. So,
Nice, dude.
yeah, they have the Capitals, dude. Your kind of rival right at this point, Richard, or I'm sorry, Spencer Carberry, behind him, but it's not too close. He's at plus 1000 odds, so it's not
Yeah.
super close. It likely will be the
And then,
Canucks head coach. They've got the
yeah,
Panthers
there's always the
guy.
Calder Trophy too, which is most likely going to Bedard, as we've mentioned at least three other times before. So,
Yeah, that should
yeah,
be a given. Connor Bedard, Rookie of the Year, winning the Calder. That if anyone votes against him, what is wrong with you? But anyway, so that does it for some trophies. Now we'll go into what everyone's been waiting for: some playoff talk. Keaton, I have some brackets pulled up, and I believe you have it on your phone as well, so you can go along with me. But I'm going to write down our predictions, and we'll see who comes out on top between these playoff teams, and then we'll have a little competition between you and I to see who has the most correct. So I want to
nice,
start on
dude.
the Eastern side, and we're going to go ahead and start off with Florida versus Tampa Bay. Who do you got winning? And if you have a why, tell me why.
I'm picking Florida because we mentioned before, their defense is pretty solid. Their goaltending is also pretty solid, and Sam Reinhart, I think he's one of the top few goal scorers of the league. So I mean, they've got a solid team. So I mean, the Lightning do have Kucherov, and he's been playing pretty well, but their defense isn't as solid, I don't think. I mean, they lost all three times to the Red Wings, so um, yeah, I think that the Panthers are definitely going to take that one.
All right. So in our first matchup, we have our first disagreement because I'm going with Tampa Bay. Florida, everything you said is absolutely correct. And this is a little bit based off of you mentioned when you played Tampa Bay. I'll mention when the Stars played Florida. And I know we lost this game. Florida did come back, but Florida started so slow. I believe the Stars were up by 3 goals or so. Forgive me, it was like a month ago, and I don't have the greatest memory. But everything I do
Yeah.
remember in that game was that the Stars were just rolling, and it was easy. And Tampa Bay is like a
But you
team
guys
that
lost.
we did lose. I'm not pretending we didn't. I think Tampa's got a few games on us too. But
Nice, dude.
Tampa, maybe I have a little PTSD from 2020 when we lose the Stanley Cup Finals against them. But their goalie is, or yeah, no, we played them. Sorry, again, brain's barely working
Nice,
right now.
dude.
But they got a good goalie. They, like we mentioned, Kucherov's crazy. They've got pieces around him. And it's also a team that seems like they knew they were going to be in the playoffs, and they almost took it a little easy. And I think Florida was kind of being a try hard throughout the season. I think Florida, it could be a little gassed. I don't know. And so I'm going with Tampa Bay. They're teams that when the playoffs roll around, I believe in them. So, and Tampa's one of those.
Nice, dude.
And I think their coach is really good too. John Cooper, I think it is. He adjusts when he needs to adjust. I saw him do it last year, the year before, and so yeah, I'll go Tampa Bay in that one. Moving on, our next matchup, we got Boston versus Toronto. Who you got there?
You know, I am probably going to go with the Maple Leafs. I don't think that the Bruins are going to hold on to their top spot. I mean, they were playing pretty well and then ended up losing out to the Panthers. And I mean, they've held that top spot for the longest time in the Eastern side. And don't know what happened. But feel like they don't really have as much. I mean, was it Swayman? He's pretty solid, but other than that, I don't really see much out of them. I know the Maple Leafs, they've got Austin Matthews, so I like the Maple Leafs in this matchup.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Again, going off the time that we played them, uh, the Bruins seem like a team it's Pasternak and Marchand, right? And then I can't
Yeah.
think of anyone else. They seem real top heavy, whereas I think Toronto's a bit deeper. And I think depth in the playoffs are extreme. It's extremely important. And so, yeah, I can't argue with you there. We'll both be taking Toronto in that matchup. We're going to go ahead and continue on. We got the New York Rangers, the team that put up the most points in the season, versus your hated Washington Capitals. I think I know where you're going, but who you got?
I mean, I'm thinking the Rangers just because. I mean, I don't necessarily hate the Capitals. It just sucks that we didn't make the playoffs because of the Capitals. That's about it. But yeah, the Rangers look like the all around better team anyway. The Capitals, I believe, still finished with a negative differential. Same with the Islanders. So, um, yeah, I think the Rangers are definitely going to take that one. Um, so I don't really see much out of the Capitals. I mean, they made the playoffs, sure, but they're probably not going to win against a good team, and they're going up against one.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Washington squeaked in, whereas the Rangers were the clear dominant team in that conference. I think that one it might not even go to Game Five. It seems to me that the Rangers are clear favorites in that one, so we'll agree on that one. Moving on, we've got Carolina versus the New York Islanders. Who do you got in that one?
I believe in the Canes. I don't think the Islanders really did anything. Like I said before, they also have a negative differential, so I feel like they kind of squeaked in. Pretty much everyone on that third and last playoff spot would have squeaked in from the Metro Division as well as that last wild card spot. So that whole Metro Division seemed like a big train wreck to begin with. With the Flyers being in it, and they're not so great. The Penguins obviously have some holes. I mean, they played pretty well at the end, but just couldn't make up it. Same with the Red Wings. So I feel like anybody from that group of teams just would not really go farther than the first round. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely taking the Canes in that one.
I I don't know. I think the Islanders it's going to be closer than I think what you're thinking. I'm not neither team's really drawn me though. Like I think the favorite would be Carolina, but I don't think the Islanders are too far behind. Um and I like their goalie Varlamov as well. Ooh, Jesus. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead with my perceived underdog, which would be the Islanders. I do think they'll be able to pull it off in a 7 game series. So we'll
Nice.
disagree there. You got Carolina, and I got the Islanders. So I got a battle of New York teams in the second round there. Why don't we continue on that eastern side? We'll go to that second round where Tampa Bay and Toronto. Oh, that's me. Sorry. You have Florida and Toronto playing each other. Who do you have in that one?
Um, Probably the Panthers. Yeah,
You got the Panthers?
yeah, between the
Gotcha.
Maple Leafs and the Panthers.
Okay.
And they just defense usually wins championships, so it's just pretty solid.
That's fair enough. And then for myself, I've got Tampa and Toronto, and I'm going to say Tampa's going to win that. Again, I just believe in their experience and Kucherov and the coaching and their goalie. So goodbye, Maple Leaves. We both have them out in this round. Moving down to
Nice
the
too.
bottom side of that bracket, we have the Rangers for both of us and Carolina for you. Who do you have in that one?
I think the Carolina Canes will beat the Rangers out.
Alrighty.
I do believe that the President's Trophy does bring a curse, and I think
Ooh.
that they're going to come out on that
Okay.
game.
Okay. I like that. I, on my end, don't believe in that right now. I'll say the Rangers go ahead and win against the Islanders.
Well, yeah,
And
because it's
so,
against the Islanders, bro.
uh, yes. Well, I'm just saying I didn't believe in the President's Cup thing curse. Anyway,
No, I
so
know.
your Eastern Conference Finals matchup is Florida versus Carolina. Who do you have winning and advancing to the Stanley Cup Finals?
Probably the Panthers. Um,
The Florida Panthers. I think it's hilarious that I have them out in the first round and you have them going all the way. But hey, I can't blame you, man. That's a really good team. In
yeah,
my semifinal or conference final, I've got Tampa versus the Rangers, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that the curse finally gets New York. Tampa returns to
classic.
the finals. Actually, no. It's tight for me, but no, I say that the Rangers get it done. The New York Rangers advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. They are the Eastern
Nice, dude.
Conference champions in my eyes. Now we will move on to the Western side, where we're going to start off with Dallas versus Vegas. Who do you got there?
I think the Stars might pull it off. It'll be a pretty decent series, but yeah,
Yeah, I think this game or this series it can go to 7 games. The Stars, it's unfortunate that the wild card team you play is a team that I think is very complete, dangerous. I'm not comfortable with this matchup. I don't like it, and I do think it goes to Game 7. Now, luckily, the Stars are the higher seed. They'll host that Game 7, and I'm taking the Dallas Stars in that one.
nice, dude.
But
Good one.
it's closer than what would prefer. Um, we're gonna follow that one up with Winnipeg versus Colorado. Who do you got in that one?
Um, I don't know. I want to say that the Colorado Avalanche would win, but with Hellebuck at net, it's pretty close. Thinking just gonna go with the Avs just because I don't think that the Jets have much, I guess, experience in the
Okay.
playoffs, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
Well, hey,
But
I think
yeah,
it's going to be an interesting matchup, especially
mechanic
considering.
and it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, it's who we discussed as the. Oh, sorry about that. It's who we discussed as the likely MVP of the league, essentially, versus the best goalie in the league. So it's going to be pretty even matched as far as that. I think that Colorado has more star power, but I think the Jets have a deeper roster as well. Um, I'm, yeah, dang. I kind of wanted to pick Winnipeg there, but I don't think I can. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you and say that Colorado gets the victory in that one. Sorry, let me. Okay, yeah, I got Colorado in that one.
Nice, dude.
And so we're going to move on. Vegas, or sorry, Vancouver versus Nashville. Who do you got in that one?
I'm gonna pick the Canucks. Not to say that Predators are a bad team, but the Canucks have really honestly been the all around better team for the most part of this season. So, and like we said before, Rick Tocchet, best coach of the year, at least likely best coach of the year. So, yeah, I think they'll pull that all off.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Nashville might give them some good games. I think it'll be a physical series, but I do think Vancouver is all around the better team, the better players, the better coach. So yeah, give me Vancouver in that one. Um, moving on, we've got Edmonton versus the LA Kings. Who do you have in that one?
I believe in the Oilers. Ever since they fired their coach, they've been extremely hot, and Connor McDavid has not really stopped. So,
And this
really
is
liking.
And this is the
Well,
battle of two teams that fire their coach during the regular season. But I think
yeah,
one came out better for sure, and that's Edmonton, whereas the Kings, to me, stayed the same. I was
they
begging,
didn't do anything in the
no,
trade deadline either. So
yeah, I was begging for the Stars to be matched up with the Kings. Unfortunately, we're not. So, no, I do think Edmonton rolls through them pretty easily. Maybe I'm kind of underselling what the Kings can do, but I just don't believe in them. So, Edmonton for me as well.
yeah,
Okay, so the next matchup we have Dallas versus Colorado. Who do you got in that one?
probably the Stars. I'm honestly thinking the Stars are going to see the cup, if not win it. So yeah, definitely the Stars in that matchup.
Yeah, so I agree with that sentence that they should see the cup. The biggest issue for me is they're playing, in my opinion, the second best team in the conference, which in Vegas. I think that the winner of that matchup is going to the Stanley
I
Cup
mean, they did
final.
lose to the Ducks, so
It was the last
anything can
game of the
happen, bro.
season. I don't think that
They
they
could have been the third. They just didn't care.
they didn't care. I mean, that just it is what it is. But in a 7 game series, it's completely different than the regular season. Vegas won it 2 years ago, I think it was. So they've got experience in the playoffs, and they get their dude Mark Stone back as well. So um, yeah, they're going to be dangerous, man. I'm hoping that I know he has so much talent. He's gonna benefit them a lot. But I almost hope that he adjusts the lines a tiny bit to where that chemistry is somewhat off. But I don't know. I'm hoping and begging at that point. But I do think we've both said that we think Dallas is going to eliminate them, and then we both have Dallas going through Colorado. We're going to follow that up with Vancouver versus Edmonton. Who do you got in that one?
I'm honestly thinking the Oilers might pull it off because Connor McDavid's been pretty solid, and like I said, pretty much ever since they fired their coach, they've been extremely solid. And I don't know. I feel like uh, the Canucks just fall there. You know,
Yeah, I actually agree with you.
just
I'm going with
lose.
Edmonton. I think Vancouver and Nashville are going to beat the heck out of each other. I think Edmonton won't have to do that against the Kings and will be a little more rested. And yeah, I think Edmonton beats Vancouver. Sorry, coach of the year. Sucks to suck. And so then Dallas versus Edmonton. You got
I'm pretty sure these Stars, yeah, but it'll be a pretty good game.
I too have Dallas. I think Dallas is just deeper. I mean, any line can score on you. It doesn't have to be your first line. And that's just so dangerous, especially when the playoffs come around. I remember the 2020 playoffs when we make it to the championship. There's a game. Was it a game seven? It's an overtime game against Colorado, and it's Joel Kiviranta who plays the hero. And he's funny enough a member of Colorado now. It was either against Colorado or Vegas. But I know he made the OT
Last year.
winner, and we advance, and he probably wouldn't have been picked to do so. The Stars are so deep; any line can score, any line can come up clutch. We've got a lot of good youth, even outside of the experienced players like Jamie Benn, like Tyler Sagan, Matt Duchene, Joe Pavelski. You add Wyatt Johnson, Logan Stankoven's been playing great. You've got defensemen like Miro Heiskanen. You added Tanev and Ottinger. Is he stands on his head in the playoffs, man? He had a game against Calgary where I believe he broke the record for the most saves. I don't even know if it was just by a rookie. I think was it ever? It might have just been by a rookie in a playoff game. But for all those reasons, I of course have them beating Edmonton. But for those reasons as well, I have them beating my Eastern Conference champion, the Rangers. So I have the Dallas Stars as champions, and I don't even mean to be a homer, but I think some of it is I know them better than I know every other team in the league, and I know just how dangerous they are. So I have the Stars winning it all. Keaton, what about you? Who do you got? You have between Dallas and Florida.
I think the Stars would probably pull it off because, like you said, they've just been uh, a little bit more deep than most other teams. And I honestly thought that the Red Wings were a lot more deeper than most teams as well. They just didn't have much defense or puck possession to their favor, and the goalie just wasn't their best. So we have some great forwards. We just don't have anything in the back end to support it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too is your special teams has to be up to snuff. Now, I'm not going to pretend I knew where the Red Wings stood on power play and penalty kill percentage and conversions. Do you know
Hmm.
exactly where y'all might have been on that? Um,
I mean, I could probably look it up
I got you. Sorry,
stats wise
I should have had
somehow.
it. My fault. I kind
I
of
mean, it's
just
fine.
threw that out there at the end.
Wins,
I got
loss.
you. Power play percentage. Uh, da, 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 My fault, dude. I should have had that, and I just threw that at you at the very end.
You're good, dude. We
Uh,
were ninth on power play percentage.
okay. The Stars, I think this is also a big advantage that the Stars have against Vegas in that first round. Again, I think that's the match of the
And
entire
then we were
playoffs.
14th in penalty kill percentage.
I mean, yeah, those things are
Um,
super important. In these games, they're going to
we're
go.
also 15th in face-off wins, which is
Okay.
pretty average, but either
Yeah.
way.
The thing that I think Vegas and Dallas are so tight to me, I've already said that they're going to 7 games. And when I look at the rest of the bracket, I don't think Colorado takes us to 7. I don't think Edmond takes us to 7. And I don't think the Rangers do. And I'm going to be so mad that if I say all this and the Stars do end up losing to Vegas, but I do think the big difference there is power play percentage and penalty kills because the Stars rank at what was it, sixth in power play percentage. One, two, three, four, five, six. Yes. And in penalty kill, we're what's that? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So we're eighth. Um, Being top 10 in both those is massive. So
Yeah.
I do think the Stars are, if they don't win it all, I normally when my teams make the playoffs, I like hope for the best, but I almost feel like I have to expect the best. It would stun me if we don't get it done. In my mind, if we don't get it done, there had to have been a big injury to like Ottinger or in. There's not even one skater that I would say if there's an injury to them, we're completely cooked because we have so many that can score. Um, Dang man, and I kind of hate being this confident in it now because
Nice, dude.
now all you can do is meet the expectation or disappoint, and that sucks. And I don't. I'm telling you, that Vegas series is going to be insane. I do think with every win, I will be unbelievably through the roof because it's going to be hard fought. It's going to be competitive. And both teams, in my mind, they're the best 2 teams in the conference in my mind, and that's a really good conference to be in. So yeah, man, it's gonna be crazy. I do think if we get by them, there's not a team I can see that stops us. That being said, they're the most likely to beat us too. So they, in my mind, the winner of the Stanley Cup comes out of that game. That series, I should say.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, man. But I'm so excited for the playoffs now. I'm disappointed your Red Wings were unable to come through for you. But hey, we're gonna keep covering this thing. We'll, give y'all an update next week. Talk about how each series is going. It's unlikely that any series will end by the time we record, unless we were to record like next Friday, maybe. No, I don't even think 4 games would occur by then. So no, we'll be in the first round, and we will keep everyone abreast to that. Keaton,
Yeah, man.
yeah, would you like to add anything? Any last words for the regular season or any playoff preview thing?
No, about wraps it up pretty much. Just we'll see you in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Keep y'all posted. Take it easy.